So the purpose of this video is to figure out why my antique Cincinnati wall clock has stopped running. And so I'm going to disassemble the motor and see what's up with that. So this is the motor, and I opened it up by bending these little tabs that were all the way around there out of the way. I've already cleaned this. I cleaned it before I turned the camera on, but the inside of this looked about like that. And I'm going to take these gears off one by one and clean them and transfer them over. The motor was stuck and there was debris between. If you see, if you push on the spindle, it just floats. So it got a little magnet in there for the spinning of it. And I took a strip of bed sheet and shoved it in that gap right there and just pulled it back and forth like a shoestring with some alcohol on it and manually moved the rotor around. And now it's freed up and I've hooked power to it and it does spin. I'll demonstrate that. So I have power on it. It doesn't turn by itself because it does have what I've noticed is right in there, you see that little red piece, that's a bearing. And so I believe when you put it together, that bearing puts a preload on this. And just enough to let it spin. But before I cleaned it, it would not even do that. So what I discovered was these two gears right here are actually retained in that housing. And I didn't want to risk damaging whatever the retainer is or the shaft, so I just cleaned them in place and used this strip of bed sheet soaked in some mineral spirits and ran it underneath the gear and wiped it around. Seems to have cleaned it up quite nicely. So what I think I'm going to do is transfer these gears back over to here and put some lube on the shafts and then try and flip that over and get it attached. That might be the best way to try and do it. I'm going to find out anyway. And the lubrication I'm going to use is that Horace Whitlock's clock oil, because I can't find any information about what should be in this one. I've dealt with the Telecron motors before, and I've refilled them with an oil mix that was suggested by another fellow who does YouTube videos on how to work on them. But this is not a sealed drivetrain, and so there's no oil that stays in there to lubricate these gears. These two seem to be made out of copper, is what it seems like to me. That top gear there is a fiber, and that bottom gear appears to be brass. So, go figure anyway. I'm going to see if I can get it back together. So I've got it back together. I'll turn it on. See if it's going to run, and it is running. I don't know if you can see the little gear there turning. That's obviously the second hand. And I stared at that gear for about a minute or two to see that it was actually turning, and then you can see the, let me see if I can hold this without electrocuting myself. That's how it looks on the outside. So now it's just a matter of putting it back in the clock and getting it going. So this is the actual clock that I'm working on, the Cincinnati wall clock. And this is the inside where the motor's going to go. It's listed as a D-15. Can't find really information on it. The clock motor bolts right into there, and those are the gears that go to the hands. So I'm going to try and put it back together. It doesn't look like that needs any lubrication, so I was probably not going to put anything in there. Let's see if I can't get it back in. Well, I got the motor back installed. I don't know if the phone's going to pick up the sound of it, but you can hear it running. And there it is. So just a little clean out of the motor, as you saw in the previous segments. Hope somebody gets some use out of this.